All right, so let's look at the following example. We want to graph fx equals 2 sine pi x plus pi over 2, and we just want one cycle. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to go here and I'm going to factor out the pi. I'm going to try and put it in the form that we are familiar with, which is fx equals a sine b times x minus c. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and factor out the pi. So that gives me fx equals 2 sine. I'm going to factor out the pi, and that leaves me with x plus, remember factoring out is just like dividing, so if I divide this by pi, I get x. If I divide this by pi, I'm left with 1/2. Okay, so here a is 2, b is pi, and then c is negative 1/2. So the first thing I need my amplitude. So step 1 is find the amplitude. Okay, and so the amplitude is given by absolute value of a, which is absolute value of 2, which is just 2. Okay, so my function is stretched vertically by a factor of 2. Now let's go ahead and find the period of the function. And the period of the function is given by 2 pi over b, which is 2 pi over pi, which is 2. Okay, so the period is too long, and we have a phase shift. The phase shift is given by c, which is negative 1/2. Okay, which means that my graph has now moved to the left. All right, so moves to the left. Okay, so I have basic pieces of my information here. What I need to now do is I need to figure out what's my one cycle, my interval for one cycle going to look like. Okay, so let's go ahead and find the interval for one cycle. And that interval is given by c comma c plus 2 pi over b. Okay, so for us, c is negative 1/2, so that's going to be negative 1/2, comma negative 1/2 plus 2. Okay, and if you take a common denominator, right, I can write this as 4 over 2, so that's going to give me negative 1/2, comma, this is 4 over 2 minus 1 over 2, which is 3 over 2. So that now is the interval of one cycle. Okay, so now what I need to do is I need to go ahead and divide this interval into 4 equal parts. So now the next step is to divide this interval into 4 equal parts. So we want to divide c comma c plus 2 pi over b. For us, that is the interval negative 1/2 to 3/2, okay, into 4 equal parts of length 1/4 of 2 pi over b. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I want to go and calculate what that is for us. So 1/4 2 pi over b, for us that is going to be 1/4 of 2, which is 1/2. Okay, so each part is going to be of length 1/2. So now how do I divide that into 4 parts? Well, we start with our value c, which is negative 1/2. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and circle that. And then I'm going to add negative 1/2. I'm going to add the half to it, which is precisely this one here. And that gives me 0. Okay, so that's my first half. The first of the 4 segments. Then I'm going to take the 0 and add the half again, which gives me a half. Okay. Then I'm going to take that half, add another half, which gives me 1. And finally, I'm going to add this half again to the 1, which gives me 3/2. right? So basically, keep adding this half until to -1/2 until you get to 3/2. Okay, so I have 4 parts, right? This is 1 part, 2, 3, and 4. Each is of length 1/2. And so what's my graph going to look like now? Okay, so let's look at our graph. This is my y-axis, x-axis. So that's my point 0. Say this is -1/2. This is +1/2. I have 1, and I have 3/2. Okay. So this is my interval for 1 cycle, and I've divided into 4 equal parts. Okay. So the amplitude of my function, right? Now, if you remember, the general shape of your sine function is like that. So at -1/2, if you put in -1/2 in your original function, you will see that that'll be 0. And this is going to go to 2, back to 0. It's going to come back down here to -2 and to 3/2. And if you join this function, that would be the graph of fx equals 2 sine pi x plus pi over 2.